Nobody warned me about the day I almost skipped my own granddaughter's graduation because of a dress. Not because I didn't have one. I had 3 hanging in my closet. Sleeveless, pretty exactly my size. But every time I put one on, I found a reason to change into something else. A cardigan here, a scarf there, anything to cover my arms. Then a friend of mine, 71 years old, walked into her son's wedding wearing a sleeveless emerald dress like she owned the room. No wrap. No cover-up. Just confidence. I asked her afterward what her secret was. She laughed and said something I never forgot. She said the arms were never the problem. The way she was dressing them was. That one sentence changed how I see sleeveless dresses completely. And today I'm handing that same shift to you. 6 simple tricks, nothing expensive, nothing complicated, that let you wear sleeveless with the kind of ease my friend had that day. Stay with me because trick number 4 is the one most women discover way too late. Welcome back to Timeless Charm and Styles, the place where looking good after 60 never costs a fortune. If this is your first time here, I'm so glad you found us. And if you've been with me a while, welcome home. This channel is built for women who want style that feels real, not rules made for someone half our age. Before we get into these 6 tricks, tap that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss the tips we share here every week. Now let's get into these tricks. 6 real body tricks to wear sleeveless dresses at 60 plus. Trick 1. The angle of the sleeve hole. Here's something almost nobody talks about when they discuss sleeveless dresses. It's not whether a dress is sleeveless or not. It's how the armhole is actually cut, and that small detail changes everything about how a dress sits on your body. A high, tight armhole that hugs close to your body will always look more flattering than a wide, loose one that gapes open every time you lift your arm. Wide armholes expose the side of your body you probably feel least confident about, and they do it from an angle you can't see or control while you're wearing it. That's the frustrating part. You can look in the mirror standing perfectly still and think a dress looks wonderful, then spend the whole evening unaware that every time you reach for your drink or wave at a friend, that armhole is doing something completely different. So next time you're shopping, whether in a store or scrolling online, do this simple test. Raise your arm like you're waving at someone across the room. If the armhole gapes open and shows the side of your body, put that dress back or scroll past it. If it stays close to your skin and only moves a little, that dress is working with your body instead of against it. There's also a smaller detail inside this trick that most women never think to check, and that's where the armhole sits on your shoulder. If it sits too far out toward the edge of your shoulder, it tends to widen the whole upper body visually. But if it sits closer to the natural curve where your shoulder meets your arm, it creates a much neater, more tailored look. This is often the difference between a dress that looks like it was made for you and one that simply happens to fit. My friend's emerald dress had exactly this. A high-fitted armhole that sat close to her shoulder and barely moved when she lifted her arms to hug her guests all night. That was rule number 1 she never even knew she was using. And it's the first thing I now check before anything else when I'm shopping for something new. Trick 2. The weight of the fabric. This one surprises people every single time I mention it, because we're taught to think about color and print first, and fabric weight almost never crosses our minds. But thin, flimsy fabric clings to everything and moves in ways that draw attention to areas you'd rather it didn't. Meanwhile, fabric with a little more weight to it, things like ponte knit, structured cotton, a heavier linen blend, or even a good quality crepe, hangs smoothly and schemes the body instead of clinging to every curve and shadow. Think of it like a curtain in your living room. A thin curtain in a breeze flails around everywhere, catching on furniture, twisting, showing every bit of what's behind it. A heavier curtain moves once when the breeze comes through, settles back into place, and looks composed and intentional. Your dress should move through a room the way that second curtain moves through a breeze, calm and deliberate, not chaotic. Before you buy anything, whether you're standing in a shop or looking at a listing online, do a quick pinch test if you can, or read the fabric description closely if you're shopping on your phone. Pinch the fabric between 2 fingers. If it feels light as tissue paper and you can practically see through it when held up to light, keep looking. If it has a little substance to it, a slight structure that holds its own shape even when you're not wearing it, that's the dress you want to bring home. There's another benefit to choosing a heavier fabric that nobody mentions enough, and that's how it handles the arms specifically. Heavier fabric around the bodice and shoulder area tends to create a cleaner line where the fabric meets bare skin, almost like a soft frame around your arms, rather than a floppy edge that draws the eye toward movement you don't want highlighted. It's a small technical detail, but it makes an enormous visual difference once you start noticing it. Quick pause here before we move on. If this is helping you see sleeveless dresses in a completely new way, drop a comment and tell me your age and where you're watching from today. I read every single one, and it means more to me than you know. And if you haven't already, hit that like button. It helps this video reach other women just like you who are also searching for real answers instead of impossible rules made for a different generation. Okay, let's keep going because trick number 3 might just be my favorite one of all 6. Trick 3. The color block secret. Most people think color choice is simply about what looks pretty against your skin tone. But color has a much bigger job to do than that, and that job is guiding the eye across your whole silhouette. Here's the trick designers have used for decades without ever explaining it out loud. A dress with a slightly darker or richer tone along the side seams, paired with a lighter or brighter color running down the center of the body, naturally pulls the eye toward the middle. It's the exact same idea used to make certain areas look narrower or more sculpted, without a single stitch of extra fabric or a single hour at the gym. You don't even need a special dress that's already built this way. A wonderfully simple trick is layering. A fitted cardigan, a light kimono, or even a soft wrap in a slightly deeper shade than your dress, worn open down the front, creates that same visual line down the center of your body. It's an old design trick dressed up as something new, and it works beautifully every single time, regardless of your body shape or size. There's a second layer to this trick that deserves attention too. The color near your arms specifically matters just as much as the color down your center. A slightly darker shade near the shoulder and upper arm area tends to soften that region visually, while a lighter shade drifting toward the chest draws the eye upward and inward. This combination, darker at the edges and lighter at the center, is quite literally the same principle photographers use when framing a portrait. You're not hiding anything. You're simply directing attention exactly where you want it to go. Trick 4. The movement test. This is the one I mentioned earlier, the one most women discover far too late, often after they've already bought a dress and worn it once with regret. Before you ever decide a sleeveless dress isn't for you, you have to test it in motion, not just standing perfectly still in front of a mirror. Lift your arm to wave. Reach up like you're grabbing something from a high shelf. Turn from side to side slowly, then a little faster. Sit down in a chair the way you would at a dinner table, then stand back up. Why does this matter so much? Because most of us stand completely still when we're deciding whether we like an outfit, but life doesn't happen standing still. Weddings involve hugging people tightly. Graduations involve clapping your hands high above your head and waving at someone across a crowded room. Family dinners involve reaching across the table for the salt or leaning in for a photograph. If a dress only looks good when you're frozen in place like a mannequin, it's simply not the right dress for you, no matter how flattering it looked in that very first glance in the mirror. My friend told me she tested her emerald dress by literally dancing around her bedroom the night before the wedding. She raised her arms above her head, spun in a circle, and even sat down and stood back up a few times just to see how the fabric behaved. If it moved well through a full spin, held its shape through a good laugh, and didn't shift awkwardly when she sat down, she knew it would hold up beautifully all night long. That's the real test. Not the mirror standing still. The movement in all the ordinary ways your body actually moves through a real day. Trick 5. The length that changes everything. Nobody expects this one, but hem length changes how sleeveless dresses read on the body more than almost anything else you could choose. A dress that hits right at the knee, or just slightly below it, tends to balance out bare arms beautifully. It creates a natural sense of proportion, a covered leg paired with an open shoulder, that feels put together and intentional rather than exposed or accidental. Meanwhile, a dress that's very short paired with bare arms can sometimes feel like too much skin showing all at once, even when that's not the intention behind the outfit at all. This isn't a rule about modesty or covering up. It's purely a rule about visual balance. Think of your outfit like a sentence you're speaking out loud. If every single word in that sentence is loud and shouting for attention, nothing actually stands out from the rest. But if one part of the sentence speaks a little more quietly, like a knee-length hem that doesn't ask for attention, the other part of the outfit, your beautiful bare arms and shoulders, gets to become the star of the whole look instead of competing with everything else for attention. There's a bit more nuance here worth mentioning. A midi-length dress, one that falls somewhere between the knee and the ankle, can also work beautifully with sleeveless styles, especially for daytime events or more relaxed gatherings. The key is simply making sure your hemline and your neckline aren't both asking for maximum attention at the same time. One should lead, and the other should quietly support it. Trick 6. The accessory that does the work for you. Last one, and it might honestly be the simplest of them all, yet it's the one people skip most often. A statement necklace or a bold pair of earrings pulls attention upward, toward your face, your smile, and your eyes. This isn't about hiding anything or distracting from your arms. It's purely about directing focus toward the parts of you that light up an entire room the moment you walk in. Think about it honestly for a moment. When someone compliments your outfit at an event, where do their eyes usually land first? Right at your face. Give them something beautiful to notice there, and the rest of the outfit naturally becomes support for that focal point, rather than something competing to be the main event. The size and placement of your jewelry matters here too. A necklace that sits close to the collarbone tends to draw the eye horizontally, widening the frame around your face. A slightly longer necklace that drops a bit lower creates a vertical line that elongates your whole upper body. Either option works beautifully, and the choice really just comes down to which shape suits the neckline of your particular dress. My friend wore simple gold hoops that night at the wedding, nothing dramatic or oversized. But paired with her dress and her posture, they pulled everything together in a way that made the entire outfit feel finished and complete, rather than like something was still missing. So here's what it all comes down to once you strip away the noise. It was never about having perfect arms. It's about a high armhole that fits close to your shoulder, fabric with a little weight and structure to it, color placed with real purpose across your silhouette, a movement test before you ever commit to buying, a hem length that balances the whole look, and jewelry that draws the eye upward toward your face. 6 small, thoughtful decisions. 0 expensive purchases required. Just a shift in how you shop, and more importantly, a shift in how you see yourself standing in front of that mirror. My friend didn't wake up one morning with completely different arms. She simply learned to work with the arms she already had, using details most people walk right past without ever noticing. And now so do you. If this video gave you a brand new way to look at sleeveless dresses, subscribe to Timeless Charm and Styles so you never miss what we share next. Give this video a thumbs up if you're walking away with even one trick you didn't know before today, and tell me down in the comments which one you're trying first. I'll see you in the next video.